My favorite authors are very singular focused when it comes to writing. I realized this really only a few days ago, and I learned it through a story. I know J.K. Rowling is one of my favorite writers, and yeah, she wrote the fucking Harry Potter book series, which I have all over my room, and I find it very cool and like interesting as a story. And I learned that she used single focus to write chapters, scenes for Harry Potter. There's a particular story where she was in her home in England somewhere, I don't fully know if it was England she lived in or Scotland, but she was in her home and her children was coming back from school. They were making noise downstairs. There was dogs barking outside in the neighborhood, and she just could not focus. Her mind was, yeah, she was distracted. Her environment was kind of ruining her writing. And now she was trying to focus, write chapters and scenes, I believe, and it was just her environment that ruined it for her. But when she ended up leaving for a hotel, she decided to write only in the hotel. She got a lot of work done, and a lot of the Harry Potter book series was actually written in this hotel because she managed to focus, to yeah, to lock in, for that matter. And this story kind of hit me, not because I could relate much with my environment. My environment is actually like very peaceful, and I made it so with a candle, etc. when I write. So it's very noise proof, basically, because everyone in my family leaves either for work or school, etc. So I'm alone here writing. But the singular focus thing hit me because when it comes to tasks, the tasks I'm doing, I've had a tendency to switch between different writing tasks. So my mind has always been to write the book series, but I might start off writing a scene, and then I suddenly switch to world building when there's a problem that appears. I realize that place has to be like built in my mind, so I start like just typing world building, what ifs, etc. But then I'm suddenly off trail from the scene that I wanted to write, and then I'm wondering, oh wait, is it the most productive thing to just go after solving problems while world building? But again, that's led me down a rabbit hole of world building suddenly, and then I don't get like the scene done. And yeah, I haven't been singular focused with the tasks I'm doing in writing. That's the main thing I got from it and realized with myself. So another example of singular focus is George R. Martin, my second favorite author. He was wrote on a typewriter, and I believe he warbled a lot like in his head. Sometimes he wrote maps or yeah, these bloodlines of his for Game of Thrones in that case. But yeah, it's confusing. I find it very confusing with how can I have a singular focus for writing my book series when there's all of these tasks that kind of is required, because I know there's people that say that world building isn't necessary, but I feel like it might be quite necessary. I know J.K. Rowling world built for 5 years before she actually began writing a lot. She didn't. She didn't do. She didn't have all of these writing tasks like revision, world building, research, drafting. She didn't have them all in her daily life for those first 5 years of creating Harry Potter, or like world building it, building the world. She just world built a lot, and I think she, if my information is correct, I think she wrote exploratory scenes to try to discover the world from writing within it. And I've sort of imitated that by writing exploratory scenes and world building. That's what I've been mainly doing. But sometimes they just go suddenly together within the session of my writing in the morning. And that's what I'm very confused by. But I know this is a bit of a rant, but I feel like it's very important to like talk about, because I think focus is one of the main factors whether I'm going to finish my book series or you're going to finish your projects, your books. But it seems that J.K. Rowling at least did her like Harry Potter creation in a bit of a batchy sense, where she started off by world building a lot and building like the foundation of the entire world. Then she went over to drafting book one, then revising book one, and I think she spent like 5 years doing book one as well. And then, since she had built the entire foundation, she worked her way through the other books more quickly. But I don't believe she did like I did when I first began drafting, trying to revise to gain like feedback on whether my writing was actually good, reading a lot, trying to world build, also trying to research. I can at least tell you, after I heard about this singular focus and how most authors actually have this singular focus on writing scenes and writing chapters, or whatever like the task at hand is, they focus on that task single-handedly. From what I took from that, I'm writing more scenes specifically. I'm just writing exploratory scenes for my 90-minute blocks now. I put this timer here, right on, and I write scenes. And I try to do that for 90 minutes because that's ultimately what I'm trying to get better at as well. Writing scenes and writing fiction. I don't want to become a world-class world builder, but not being able to actually draft the entire story in scenes and chapters. That's the skill I want to have. But I also realized that world building is a major part and research. So I've taken this ideology of batching, and in the morning I batch scenes in a 90-minute block. Then later I batch world building in about 30-minute block-ish. And then I batch research later for the day. So I get that single focus for drafting scenes, and whenever there's any creative problems that pop up while I'm writing, I just note them down. I can actually show you if you have the time. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so when I learned about this single focus, I realized that also in my app, my Scrivener app, I was jumping a lot around between these, plenty of documents. I was jumping around, drafting characters, suddenly back to writing scenes. But now what I do is I have one specific document and I just do this and I start writing a scene. And at the top here, I have my research questions and what I'm wondering about, basically all the creative problems that occur when I am writing scenes. And I just come back to those later. That's kind of been my strategy now lately. And that's how I try to keep myself single focused on, that's how I try to keep myself single focused on the different writing tasks. I do believe there's an order for what is the most important and what is the least important. And I've sort of structured it as writing scenes is the most important, and trying to write chapters by making those scenes. Then I have world building. Okay, let me try to world build and solve a bit of the creative problems that I can solve without research. And then later, let me research some and try to solve more creative problems, because I think there's this cycle where you write and you find out a problem, a creative problem, and you solve that problem and you create that depth in the world, and then you write more, find more problems, and the more you do that cycle, the more you get of depth in the world you build. And that's what I think J.K. Rowling and George R. Martin did. And they ended up with some very deep worlds and very impactful worlds. And yeah, I think that's all I know for focusing in writing. So I hope you got anything from this video, and yeah, it definitely just helps me out to rant and figure it out, put it out there so I can actually hear what I'm thinking around this topic. Sort of a learning experience for my own sake. So yeah, gonna end the video there. Take care.